morning. My name is Tom. I come to you from Northern Maine. Welcome to the trapping section of my property. Today we're going to follow up on buying a piece of property in the state of Maine. Location, location, location. I touched on it a little bit in the last two videos, but I'm going to touch on a little bit more here. And I'm going to touch on, in this video, again, there's a lot to buying a piece of property here, so I'm going to break this stuff down over the course of who knows how many videos. As long as you guys are showing interest in this style of video, then I will continue to produce the videos about owning a piece of property here in the state of Maine. Again, I'll start this like I did other ones. If you're just catching this series for the first time, this is all in a playlist on buying a piece of property. I have built cabins from one end of this. I won't say from one end because I didn't do hardly anything in southern Maine. Everything I've done has been from Rangeley Lakes area in the state of Maine, all the way to the coast and all the way to almost the top of the state. Just saw, I mean, 35 years of building cabins and working on cabins. You know, there's not too many driveways that you can't go down that I probably haven't been down. So now that's stretching it a little bit. There are just so many cabins in the area. It's unbelievable. Cabin work over the years. One thing, I love cabins, and I love being on the water and all of that. So, but anyways, location, location, location. There's two ways that a lot of people look at a cabin that they want waterfront property. Buying waterfront property in the state of Maine, those are the hottest cabins. They are the most expensive cabins. There's just a whole lot more that goes into a waterfront cabin. Now, if you want waterfront, hang on. Put up with all the crap, and you can have a waterfront cabin. But a little side joke that goes on in a lot of towns in this state, and it's too bad, it's not right, but it happens. And I know this because I work for people from, for one thing, most of my work was cabins on the water. Rare was I back in the woods anywhere as far as cabins go. Most of them was right on the water, basically because of the area I live in and the type of calls that I got. And then I would, you know, I didn't take every job that came in. I mean, I'm only one person, so I wanted the jobs that would put me in great places to work. You know, if you got to go to work, you might as well enjoy it. And the joke was sometimes I'd be at some people's cabins for 6 months. Or like one time I built a huge cabin up in Northern Maine, and I was there for, well, it's nothing for me to spend a whole summer building a building. Timber frame building, they take time. So it's nothing for me to spend a whole summer doing that. But I had one where I literally worked there for 5 years, back in the early 90s. We just kept building. You know, we built the main lodge, and then we built, believe it or not, a grand piano room on the side of the main lodge cabin, and just went on for 5 years before it was completely finished. So, you know, so what I have to do is, I used to thank people. Sometimes I'd be there like in the fall, September, October, November, and then we'd be sitting on their picnic table having coffee, and I would thank them for letting me live at their cabin for the last 3 months or 4 months. And they'd say, well, what do you mean? I said, well, think of it. I ate lunch at this picnic table every day for the last 4 months, and you paid the taxes. So, that was good. I had other camp owners, like in way up north, if we'd travel, they would say, where did you stay? I said, stayed right at your cabin. Sometimes I'd bring in a small slide-in camper. You've seen it in my videos. It was just a place to sleep. And other times they would say, use the cabin like it's your own. So we would stay right at the cabin while we was doing the job, because there was no other places to stay. So I did have a slide-in camper that I would tote along. One year I had it in the pickup, and then for a lot of years I just had it in a utility trailer. So it gave me a place to sleep, you know, and that was important. I would cook outside just like you see me cooking. It was camp style all the way. This kind of lifestyle, it doesn't matter if it was at work or if it was at my cabin. I would eat outside, live outside, and sleep in that little camper. But getting back, I keep losing my train of thought because there's just so many good memories. The bad joke, I said, because I heard it more than once, was for camp owners that own the waterfront. Camp owners that own waterfront is where these towns make a lot of their income, is by overtaxing the waterfront property. Now they won't say that to your face, but I heard that conversation more than once over the last 40 years. So if you don't have to have waterfront property, and you're good with on the other side of the road from the lake, or a quarter of a mile from the lake, like my cabin up north is about 2/10 from the lake. I can do anything. They don't bother me. I can build anything. They don't bother me. And they told me that when I was at the town office. We don't care about your property because you're not on the water. If I was on the water, there's a number to how many trees that I can cut down. There's a number to how big of a clearing I can make. There's a number to cabin size. There's a number on how far back from the water I have to build. It's not like the old days where you could build right on the water. I mean, there's just so much involved in building a piece on the water that that's why I say location, 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 depending on what you're looking for. That's something to keep in mind. And the other thing about on the water, now I'm not against on the water, I love the cabins that are on the water. But another thing to keep in mind, if this is a cabin that you intend on using 12 months a year, in the early spring, late fall, winter time, cabins on the water are really cold places to live. Very cold. You got the wind that comes off the ice. You got it's just maybe 10, 15 degrees colder than it is 2/10 of a mile back in the woods where my cabin is. And you've got the wind barrier between you and the cabin. And I use my cabin in the wintertime more so than in the summertime. I'm not big on summertime use of the cabin. I know that sounds crazy, but that's where location plays in. That's how you're going to use your cabin. Same thing with drifting snow. I've seen cabins that are, depending on where they are on a lake, the snow drifts in so high you can't even get to the cabin if the snow drifts off the lake and onto your piece of property. I mean, I've seen 10, 15-foot snowbanks blowed right up against cabins that are located right on the lake. So location, what are you looking for in a cabin? All of that. What's the other thing? So, and the other thing on location, the other thing, we also have millions of acres up here in the state of Maine that are owned by timberland companies. So if you can border your piece of property on one of those timberland companies, and you have, and you're a hunter, a fisherman, and all of that, within a very short ride, you'll have access to millions of acres of property to deer hunt on, moose hunt on, trout fish on, brook fish on, all kinds of stuff. And I know some of them charge a little bit per day now. It used to be free when I was younger. But that gives you, if you've got that 1 acre of land or 5 acres of property that's buttoned up against the timberland company, so you've got, both of my properties are like that. Beaver Creek butts up against a 100-acre owner, but then it butts up against the timberland owner. So that gives me access to all kinds of woods that for the most part will never be built on, which is great for somebody that does the stuff I do. So think about your location. Like I said, location is very important when it comes to that stuff. Here comes the sleet, here comes the rain again. So this is probably going to be a good time to close this one down. This will be a part of the playlist. So you want to own a cabin, that'll be, that's cool. We're just making a nice little playlist for this. And if you want to check out the building of Beaver Creek, go check out that. Go check out that playlist. That's how I built the cabin way back in the woods, start to finish. It's still a plan in progress, but think about becoming a Patreon member. I'll put the link down the bottom of the screen. Have any questions? Drop them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them and get you pointed in the right direction. So hey, you guys have one last sip of coffee with me, and I will see you next week.